If the oil companies and the British government insisted that there would be no war, there would be no war. They did not do that. They allowed the war to go on.
The Nigerian Civil War broke out in 1966, just 6 years after Nigeria gained independence from Britain. A rebel nation called Biafra formed in the country's oil-rich southeast. Britain supplied the Nigerian government with the arms to crush the rebellion.
When I think about the geopolitics, the whole colonial apparatus, of course, oil played a significant part. We didn't give much coverage to the extent that...
We are certainly not going to end the war on account of people being starved. All is fair in war, so we are told, and that is the position.
The plight of the civilians is not the number one priority.
The number one priority is the unity of the country.
Ruben? Thank you. Chairman Smith, Chairman McGovern, honorable members, thank you for the opportunity to testify. Just under 1 year ago, I testified here about human rights in Turkey. I'm not going to repeat that testimony. Unfortunately, there's so much new to discuss. I'm reminded of the old Soviet joke about an optimist and a pessimist. The Soviet pessimist complains about how bad everything is: war, environment, economy, health. The Soviet optimist shakes his head and said, "Don't complain. Things could always get worse." So sanction Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu if he does not recuse himself. Representative Smith, to underscore the importance of freedom and speech and discourse, you had mentioned what had happened at Sheridan Circle. The United States, Washington, D.C., should install a plaque on Sheridan Circle commemorating the illicit attack on peaceful protesters in 2017. Second, genocide recognition matters for a simple reason. If the international community does not force states and groups to reject racist and genocidal ideologies, those ideologies persist. When regimes nature them, the dangers grow exponentially. We've seen this with Hamas and radicalized Hutus and Nigerians attacking Biafrans. While Turkey blusters, it folds when others recognize genocide. We saw this with both the Biden administration's recognition of the Armenian genocide, and that of all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Those recognitions happened, and Turkey didn't do a damn thing. Just as Erdogan now seeks a say in Muslim holy sites in Jerusalem, and Jordan continues to assert some control there, so too should that model now apply to Greek and Armenian sites in Istanbul.
I'd like to ask you, there seems to be so much talk about Christian genocide in the US right about now. And there are so many talks about the Christian genocide. And recently, we also had the US government want to engage Nigeria over the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, about the laws that put him into prison. Why exactly is this a reawakening by the US government, or what exactly is the reason why the US government is seeing in this direction now?
We saw the documentary that was just published by BBC, edited, authored by a Yoruba man who did not actually participate in the Nigeria-Biafran war. And all the lies and another fabrication, but you can see the uprising that people have come to, cancel anything that had to do with that BBC unfortunate, report that decided to avoid major issues that led to the Nigerian Biafran crisis. Because of the incompetence and unfortunately, Gowon as at that time was not exposed. Quite an extreme illiterate at that particular time, and that's what illiteracy can do to anybody, because when you are ignorant, definitely you do not know, what you are actually doing. But I can tell you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to Kinshasa some time ago, and the sudden position of the BBC to publish surviving Biafra documentary, telling the Biafran story by people who are not even part and parcel of the Biafran war and all that. So everything was just thoroughly edited, half-baked, just just like the way they normally do it, telling you that the British government are still battling to see how they are going to stop the Igbo rise again. Well, unfortunately, not this time around. The Igbos has, gone past some certain level compared to what it was in 1967. Today, that BBC documentary on surviving Biafra has been rendered useless anywhere in the world. People are not interested about it because it is not factual and it has nothing to do with the truth. Well, I do not know why is it that because there seems to be a face-off between the American government and the British government. I don't know whether Biafra is the issue or the British government has failed to intervene or to show a sense of concern over a British citizen that was rendition, kidnapped from another country to another country. But they just kept quiet because they felt that Nigeria must continue, because of crude oil or because of their labor of their heroes will not be in vain. But unfortunately, that has been subdued by the oppressions and uprising of the Biafran all over the world, who have found themselves in almost all the nooks and crannies of any government in the world today. So Britain has found it very difficult to penetrate the American White House to market, the agitation against Biafra. But it's failed woefully. Now we are seeing another directive. Kudos to Marco Rubio, U.S. Secretary of State, who told the British government we don't have any business with you anymore. When we needed you, people would, failed us. Now we are going to take a decision on Biafra, and we are going to consult anybody, and that is the picture. But it looks like after a careful study of the congressmen, they did a public hearing of 1967 Nigerian Biafra war and discovered that there was genocide was actually committed. Then, like sending a certain signal that if anybody according to law that committed genocide that are still alive is definitely going to face ICC. So that matter is still under investigation. So there's possibility that the report we are hearing now that they are going to take decision because Nigeria Biafra was also mentioned in that US report because for now it's no longer funny. It has escalated. Biafra has become so popular, among top world powerful nations, in the world today. Even among their governments officials, Biafra is being discussed on daily basis. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being discussed on daily basis. I don't know how that actually came to be, but I tell you that it came as a careful study of the messages of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu today, which are being repeatedly played online every day to send a strong signal. You can see most of them that were saying Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is this have come out and started confessing that they didn't know, but the man saw it coming anyway. So that's the American decision. Likely, Gowon is going to face ICC. And of course, we might not be able to bring Awolowo into it because he is not alive. But if Awolowo is not alive, we would have questioned why he justifies the genocide and said it is a normal thing to carry out a mass, because that's the question, mass starvation.
But as it stands, Gowon has repeatedly said, even in the book that he published not quite long ago, if you look at the summary of his stance, it was that he was only just trying to protect one Nigeria, that it was Ojukwu who refused to yield to that one Nigeria, that he was already having a premeditated thought about Biafra while stockpiling weapons.
No, all those things have been fact-checked. All those things have been thoroughly, taken down. There are no facts. There are no, they're all fabrication. The story is very clear. I'm happy that Anaburi man from Ghana replied Gowon. He called Gowon a planted demonic liar. That's what he called him. It's not a Nigerian, it's not a Biafran. A Ghanaian, the records are there. It can be tapped into. You know, but you can see the way and manner because, you know.
So does this look like this is being doctored by Gowon just to orchestrate the same agenda?
Of course. After you are claiming that you were sick, you had fever, you know, then why did you go and sign something that you are not sure of? And coming back days after to say that you do not know what to sign again. It has an undertone. British is involved. Government, government of Britain is involved in derailing the Aburi decision and resolution at the end of the day, because the whole thing as it, go and study it very well. None of those things that Gowon implemented, but instead Gowon carried out a police action and begin and started the war. Then Igbos fought for survival anyway. But you can see now that the truth is beginning to come out now, and these are the things that will be thoroughly documented, that when the Biafran government is fully recognized, no nation on earth will go against it, because the records are very clear. Biafra was not an independent colony of the British government. They were not. Biafra was not colonized by anybody, you know, but Biafra was amalgamated into, you know, a protectorate that believed that, you know, should be part of, you know, Nigeria. That's what happened, and it was sold with a certain amount of money. Yes, I remember the name of that person. I think they were talking about Goldie, you know, who converted and invited the British government to come and buy a particular political particular zone from his son, which he sold to, you know, Britain for a particular amount of money. So you can see everything about Nigeria is very wrong. The only thing that was not sold was Biafra, because Biafra has been in existence before Nigeria. So all these things are beginning to come out now, and we're seeing that the Northerners did not see it coming. Most of them did not see it coming, but it has become a reference point, you know, in the global world today.
All right. So what lessons should we draw from this, from modern Nigeria now, looking at what is happening in the southwest, in the southeast now? A lot of people are tying it down back to Nnamdi Kanu. Have seen this coming, that he has said all of these things. So what lessons would you draw for people now in this modern era about what Nnamdi Kanu have said concerning some of these things that is happening in the southwest now?
Yes, because 70% of them has accepted Sharia, and the Yorubas have accepted Islam indirectly, whether they like it or not, you know, because one, during the Nigerian Biafra war, the Yorubas joined the Nigeria against Biafrans, you know, so they share in whatever that's going to come with that union, and this is part of it, you know. But I don't want to take you back to history line, where the word Yoruba was given to them by a Fulani man. The word Yoruba was given to them by a Fulani man. So you can see that there has been, you know, generations of relationship and the introduction of religion among themselves, and that's why you see in every hamlet, in every home you go in Yoruba land today, and you will see element of Islam in them, and that them know that it is very easy. But we don't want a situation where Southwest will be used as a launching point to attack the eastern part of the country again. There's a reason why we are silent about Nnamdi Kanu's ordeal. Because Nnamdi Kanu told us very clearly that he do not want to share anybody's blood. If not, the sentence of Nnamdi Kanu by a Yoruba man is enough to trigger. But we said no, we are quiet. You see the Niger Delta they are looking about, Niger Delta. Bros, when it comes, you will know that the entire Niger Delta is Biafran land. Forget the politics. 70% of people living indigenously in South are all Igbos, including the current governor of Rivers State, Chimilaya Fubara. He's from our people. Our people is Igbo. They speak Igbo. All their market days are Igbo. Everything about them is Igbo. But a Yoruba man does not want to hear that, and Hausa man does not want to hear that. because they created South-South. But thank God that we didn't react to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu illegal imprisonment, because we don't want the world to see from that angle what we are watching. But I know that we not go to that extent. But trying to see Southwest as a launching point to attack the Biafran people will be one of the greatest mistakes they are intending to do, because that is what it looks like. Just like what have played out, how they joined together. See, I listened to Philip Effiong very well, and all the lies that played out, assuming there was internet, assuming there was social media as at that time, I don't think the whole world would have fought against Biafra. I don't think so. Because the media were being controlled by a section of the people, they now use it with the British government controlling the entire media structure globally. Look at what is done. An example is just the BBC, documentary, Surviving Biafra. You can see how it was doctored. The issue of Asaba massacre is not there. The 1917, the January 17 planned coup was not there. The 1966, this thing was not there. The massacre that started in 1943 was not there. So, how can a Yoruba man tell an Igbo man's story or deal that even when during the war, Gowon married in Lagos here? But today, why are they crying over the land they are demanding? The Fulani are demanding land, they are demanding Sharia. Is Yoruba now divided? Do we go for this or do we go for that? And that's the question. Some have started calling for Sharia already. But that is the thing. So the best thing now is that we are still watching, because there are red lines in everything. Gowon will face the consequences. Anybody that was involved will face the consequences of that genocide. But you need to watch the development and find out and see what actually transpired. It is no longer funny. People are surprised that why is the US Congress suddenly waking up again about Biafra all of a sudden. No! They took their time so that there will be no response, there will be no agitation, there will not be resistance from any nation, because the issue of Biafra recognition will be justified. And that is why they are taking time and they are telling everybody, look at what is going on around the world. Have you seen the British government condemn the killings in Nigeria? They have not. So, of course, they didn't see it coming, but Mazi Nnamdi Kanu must be given a place of honor very soon, and I can tell you that.